Hello, this screencast will take you through the assessments offered through Benchmark Phonics and where they're located on our online platform. So every week there's a short little assessment that doesn't necessarily go in the grade book, but just helps you determine where students are at with what they've grasped and or what their next steps could be. Something that Wiley, when he presented for us, really preached was that it takes about 6 weeks for them to master it with writing. So knowing that, we kind of have always that spiral review going on anyways. But let's take a look at what's the difference between a weekly assessment and a unit assessment. You're going to find both of them within the manual. So I'm going to, again, stick with third grade and go to the first manual. As you will remember from the previous screencast, you'll have a menu on the left appear. We're going to focus both on the lessons and this additional resources. So if you were to click on additional resources, you'll see the unit assessments pop up. But because that's the unit assessment, we would miss a step if we didn't address the weekly assessments. The weekly assessments are very short and always given at the end of the week. They're found on the last lesson, so lesson 5, small group. So as you can see, we've got a couple of just finishing things, decoding by analogy, etc. And then you come to the spelling patterns assessment. Now, sometimes you even have that flexibility to maybe only assess on a weekly basis with these tests, just those that you've been working in a small group. You want to see if they've grown. Or you can give it to all. You have that option. So here is the prompts and the words and a sentence to use with that. If you wanted to check high frequency words, that is, they have that here for you as well. So when we take a look, well, let me go down here where it says cumulative assessment. Students will be assessed on this and previous skills using the Unit 1 cumulative assessment at the end of week 3. So keep in mind that this is just week 1. So if we were to skip ahead now to week 2 and go down to small group, the lesson 5, you'll see the week 2 assessment here. All right, same structure, prompt, words, questions. And again, just another reminder, it'll be at the end of week 3, will be that cumulative assessment. What we noticed, because now I'm going to click on week 3, lesson 5, small group, is that you'd have almost a double duty of providing assessments on unit 3, day 5, because you would have the end of the week assessment, but then you'd have the unit assessment. This is where providing this, so if I'm in unit 3, lesson 5, so this can be optional and maybe given on Thursday. Maybe you've done your small groups on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and you want to just see how they've done, just a small group of children. And then when you go to Friday's class, maybe you have no actual lesson and you just have the assessment. Something to think about, because if we look at our structure, you can just see it within week 3. So you have a whole group lesson, a whole group, and small group, small group. Now, depending on how schedules and everything works out, you could just do one of these per day, or you could do a whole group followed by a small group, and then on lesson day 2, a whole group followed by a small group. And you could offer that same small group lesson to multiple groups. It would just be a matter of who needs that and how your time frame works for you. So know that some teachers had started to bump up this small group unit 3 assessment to almost a Thursday. So those are the weekly assessments. Now let's take a look at the unit assessment. So we have 3 weeks in every unit. Then you'll click on additional resources and go to unit assessments. All right, so again, it does a really nice job of taking you through this, and you can kind of read through to understand the purposes for it. And here's again some nice prompts to take you through that. When we had the launch last year, they went through how important the dictation is and how we can use this information. So this is what a unit assessment looks like. You'll notice that it's included words that have the same pattern from each of the 3 weeks. So at this point, we haven't really expected that they've mastered it, but it does give us an idea of where they are at in that process. If you were interested, this is completely optional. They have a fluency set of cards that always follow the unit assessment. It grows as the year goes on as well, but each of these words contain the pattern that was relayed in that first unit. So that, in a nutshell, is the unit and weekly, that is, in unit assessments. The last thing I'd like to take you to, or take you through, that is the QPA. So this is where, if you're in third, fourth, or fifth, and you scroll down and click on the assessments tab at the bottom, this would be something that maybe you want to offer your students as a whole group to just see where they're at, maybe as a very, introductory assessment. Now, knowing we're going into distance learning, an idea could be that you, over a Zoom or even a recorded screencast, you say the words aloud and a student could write them down and take a screenshot of their work and send it maybe to Seesaw or something to see how they've done, and then you can go ahead and assess. The QSA, so the quick spelling assessment, is much faster to give, and it's actually would also be considered the first step. So you would just, like good old fashioned spelling tests, have everybody take out a piece of paper, they'd number it 1 to 20, and you would go through listing out the words that are provided in here. So, I think I'm in, this is for little ones. Pardon me, let me go back out. Oh, I got all the way out. Here we go. Let me go over here. So they have 3 versions of it, which ends up being nice for if you needed this as progress monitoring, but know that this is completely optional. You would have to talk to a building coach to learn a little more about what skill set you might start with. If you're a 4th grade teacher, well, we have third grade and 4th grade and 5th grade teachers in these sessions. You might want to start, to be honest, a lot of them are very even. You could start with skill set 8, but if they struggled here, you definitely would want to understand and shore up, are they doing well with R controlled silent E, CC, but maybe those are just for, you only give those assessments to students you're concerned about. All this really it does is it gives you the word in a sentence, 10 words at a time, like a regular spelling test. And then you're able to see where those errors are and can then determine maybe some small group support or what they might need, or group kids accordingly. This is the way how it goes up through, I want to say 13. It is basically also a progression, as you can see how, we get into very multisyllabic words. But before that, even just all these different sound combinations are sort of a progression that you would have noticed from K2. So it's very much up to you, A, if you want to use it, and B, which students, all or a group, and last, which skill set you're going to choose. It's never really any harm. It's just always you thinking what you want to use this data for. So that's the optional. And I'm really not going to take time and get into the QPA. That's the phonics assessment. It would be a one-on-one assessment. Again, if you're interested in it, you have a couple of outliers that you're just struggling to learn more about, it could be an option. And I would reach out to your building coach to learn more about that. All right, take care.